Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Suttela, and this is Holistic Health and Healing on the Emergence of Being Contributor Network. We're so excited to be here. I'm here with, on this side.
I'm usually on the other side. I'm
Well,
Dr. K.
I could do that now. Look at that. And then we have our special guest today, Dr. Ravi, and I don't know how to pronounce your last name or if I'm mispronouncing your first name. So, but you introduce yourself.
No problem. I am Dr. Ravi Aviana, also known as the Lymph Doctor, and it's wonderful to be here. Thank you, Hank.
Yep, you're so welcome. And we all met through this amazing BNTV bootcamp series, and this is one of the amazing people that we've connected with. And why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you came to be known as the Lymph Doctor?
I would love to. And so basically, my journey was it turned into me having a PhD in metaphysical and humanistic science. But I never went that route for a professional goal. It was really, I was desperate for my own healing. I had tried I grew up in a very religious environment where healing and holistic healing and anything spiritual was really not talked about. And so I had to really go on a deep, long, difficult journey because I felt like such an alien on the inside. And so after a whole bunch of studying and a whole bunch of going to school for different credentials and things, I finally stumbled on lymphatic drainage therapy. So I've been a massage therapist and a body worker for over 14 years. And I started applying everything I knew about consciousness and human development and human behavior to the lymphatic system. And that's really now what I do with all of my time. It's my passion to help people understand that the relationship between our chakras and the relationship between our lymphatic system is really one conversation. There's a misconception that we have our energy and our physical appearance and our health is like three different conversations, but the lymphatic system really connects them all. And so I love bridging the gap between these different conversations so people really realize that the power to change your own life, yes, there are so many modalities out there, but your lymphatic system, if it's working for you, it's going to make everything else that you're doing so much easier. Otherwise, you have to try like I did by working 1,000 times harder than you should be for very little result. But when your lymphatic system is working for you, all of that power and all of the meditation and all of the law of attraction and all of the energy healing, all of those things get significantly easier when your physical body is no longer holding you back.
And Dr. K and I talk about it all the time how things don't start physically, they start out here in the energy field. And when we don't take care of things, they become more and more dense and then eventually manifest physically. And I'm curious, Dr. K, like you're a functional medicine doctor, how much has the lymphatic system really come into play with the clients that you see?
Well, a lot. I have to completely agree. I don't do lymphatic drainage. I refer out for that. I wish I could do everything in my office, but I can't. So I do refer out for lymphatic drainage, and I completely agree. The lymphatic system it's if you see it in the body, it's almost equivalent to where all your so if you take away all your organs and you just look at your arteries and veins, the lymphatic system runs through there. And my biofeedback device actually has a wonderful picture of the lymphatic system. And it's intricated throughout your whole body. So the lymph traps and clears things, and it's a big mitigator. It's almost like kind of an organ in itself. Your arteries are an organ in itself too. So it mitigates everything and clears things in the body. So it's really important.
I might have found kind of a picture of a lymphatic system. I hear your cat again. It's already, he's like, the show started. I'm the real star of the show. Move out of the way, Dr. K.
Sorry, guys. I apologize.
No, I love your cat. That's great. They just wanted to be the center of attention. And Dr. Ravi, I'm curious, what you mentioned, the chakras and the energy systems, does the lymphatic system specifically correlate to the chakras, or where's the bridge between the lymphatic and the energy centers?
That is a wonderful question. And so, first of all, I would love to touch on really quick what Dr. K was talking about. So if you look up the picture of the anatomy of the lymphatic system, you're going to see the deep nodes and pathways and the organs. And so that's what most people think of as the lymph, but it's so much bigger than that. There's actually 4 main layers to the lymphatic system. And Any other institute or professional who's in lymph is only talking about 3. And 90% of the magic is in that secret layer that no one else is really addressing in a full way. And so we have the deep nodes and pathways, that's layer 1. The superficial lymphatic system is right underneath the skin. This is what causes all signs of aging, cellulite, loose skin. If you lose weight and then think that loose skin is just now your life, like all of that is just a lymphatic imbalance in the superficial part of the system. Then we have what's in the brain, which is called the glymph. It's actually its own system. And this contributes to seasonal allergies, sinus infections, insomnia, headaches, migraines, even Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. Those symptoms can be greatly minimized when we're balancing the lymphatic system. And then the secret layer that everyone else is ignoring is actually our interstitial fluid. And so when the deep nodes and pathways are not draining, it backs up into the tissues around the organs, between the muscles and the fascia. This is where 90% of pain comes from. This is where invisible pain and invisible disease symptoms like fibromyalgia and all of these things, where like neuropathy, where the neurons are just, the pain receptors are firing like crazy. It's because there's too much toxic, acidic, stagnant lymphatic fluid actually in the tissues and around the organs. From there, if it's still not draining, it backs up into the brain and then eventually backs up all the way to the superficial layer. And that's, again, where we see all of those physical signs of aging and cellulite and all of those things. And so essentially, like, there is not one part of your body that the lymphatic system does not touch. Essentially, it's your personal scrubbing bubbles team. And so 86% plus of our bodies are water. And you can think of all of that water as lymphatic fluid. It's literally inside your teeth. It's inside your bones. It's inside around every organ. It's governing your hormones. Women who have intense menstrual cycles or intense menopause symptoms, all of this is just a lymphatic imbalance. And so we've been taught, like, it's scientifically proven that water is the best conductor of energy. Like, don't drop the toaster in the bathtub because you're going to get electrocuted, right? And so if we know we have these energy centers, what's going on in the water around it is going to make the message either miscommunicated and all messy, or it's going to really communicate that message in a clear and effective way. And so if there's a kink in one of the chakras, if your lymphatic fluid is really toxic, it's like a minefield. And so this kink in the message goes out into a minefield and just gets even more insane, right? It's like breaks apart the message and makes it really confusing for your body to know what's really going on. If you have a kink in the chakra and you have pure, clean, functioning lymphatic fluid, the message is a lot more clear. So there might still be chaos because the chakra needs attention. However, the ripple effect is clear, so you're able to identify that without all of that extra confusion around what's actually happening. Like, you can see the root of the problem really clearly instead of having to, like, wander around bumping into walls trying to put your fingers on it. Vice versa is also true. So if your chakras, like, are on point and you do all of the meditation and all of the sound healing and all of the chakra work, but your lymphatic fluid is dirty, that then kind of seeps in and kind of limits what the energetic output is doing. As an example, my personal story was I did all of the meditation. I was doing sound healing. I was doing Reiki. I was doing affirmations like literally all day, every day. And I wasn't really getting any result because my lymphatic system, you know, if you're familiar with Dr. Emoto,
Yep.
he did the water crystal photography. And so that literally shows that water holds the shape of frequency. It's scientifically proven our thoughts and our emotions have frequency. Our chakras have frequency. And so if the frequency that's going out is being put out into a messy pool, it's just going to get all discombobulated. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I don't know if this is really a picture that does it justice, but I did find this in my stock photos. Is that even close to showing what it might be operating like?
Kind of. And so, yes, it connects to every single organ. And yes, there are these spaghetti noodle like pathways that your lymphatic system goes in, and they go in every which direction. There's no real rhyme or reason. But what this picture is not showing is like the nodes. We have like, I can't remember, it's like 750 nodes in the human body. And so they're like various sized grapes. And those inside the grape, there's a trap door. And so if the fluid comes in too much, that door gets trapped shut and the fluid can't drain out. And so imagine this network of spaghetti noodles with a whole bunch of swollen grapes stuck in it that's preventing things from draining.
Got it. And we do have a couple people kind of tuning in saying good morning. Mark was curious, like how would an imbalanced lymphatic system, might that affect a diabetic specifically, if there is a specific thing that would be more impactful to a diabetic versus somebody that isn't diabetic?
Absolutely. So everything that has to do with your digestion, how your body is breaking down and utilizing anything that's going in, it all comes down to the lymphatic system. If your lymphatic system is stagnant, toxic, and pressurized, then all of the functions that your body is supposed to be doing, instead of operating up here at high capacity, it's going to be operating really low functioning capacity. So when we're talking about diabetes, that's insulin deficiency. That's how your body is responding and producing like blood sugar and everything about what your body's doing with sugar. And so I've had, as an example, I've had clients who are extremely lactose intolerant, extremely gluten sensitive, extremely sugar sensitive. Like they couldn't even like look at it without puffing up or having some physical response. After just a couple of the right lymphatic drainage therapy sessions, they were able to eat cheese, eat gluten, eat sugar without this big response. Because essentially our body is like a cup of toxic fluid. And if it's all full over our lives, because most people have not been having the lymphatic conversation, so there's no lymphatic self-care happening. So our lives are full of toxicity. So this cup is all the way full. So if you eat, the triggering food or get exposed to whatever you're sensitive to, it causes an overflow in your body, and your lymph just has this huge response. But every time you either get a lymphatic drainage therapy session or do the self-care practices that clean your lymph on its own, you're cleaning out that water. So not only is it getting clearer, but it's coming down in the cup. So it's not all the way at the top of the rim, because we're depressurizing the system. So now when you eat the triggering food, your body can actually have the time and space to handle it in a better way. It doesn't just automatically go into this insane reaction.
I gotta ask, like when people hear lymphatic draining, like is it just me or am I picturing like tubes and a person like sucking all the overflow out? Like how does one drain the lymph? I heard the cat, really.
He's by the microphone now.
All you really need is a cat purring on your chest, and the lymphatic system will drain just fine, right? But really, like just trying to get a visual, like how does this function happen?
I love that you asked that question. And hello to the kitty also. I was like, what is this noise? And so, no, we're not actually like creating a physical drain. Like if you go to the hospital and you have surgery and you have to have a drain, it's nothing like that. It's as simple as getting a massage. And so when you're working on your own lymphatic fluid, things like dry brushing, like are overspoken about and underutilized and underappreciated. Dry brushing is one of the best things you can do on your own to get your lymph moving. So obviously you're not going to be like creating your own drains at home. And again, that's not what we do as a professional either. You basically lay just like you would if you've ever had a massage. You get undressed, you lay under the sheets, you're on the massage table. And there's really, outside of the protocol that I have developed, there's only two real approaches to lymphatic drainage therapy. So the first, if you just go see a lymphatic therapist, they're typically only using 5 grams of pressure with their fingers, and they're working on areas where they know the lymph nodes are. And like I was saying, it's a great with a trap door. And so all you have to do is gently move the fluid around inside that node so that that door can open, and then it allows the fluid to drain through. The way the lymphatic anatomy is the fluid cannot drain backwards. It can only move forwards. And so when it's stagnant or trapped, or those trap doors are stuck shut, it creates not only a backlog of like toxic fluid, but just like when you kink a hose, it creates a whole bunch of pressure throughout the system also. And so it's that combination between the pressure and the waters that are backed up that causes 95% of pain, 100% of inflammation, any disease that has itis, arthritis, pancreatitis, like anything with itis literally means inflammation, and inflammation is just a lymphatic imbalance.
Got it. And someone else was just offering, who's a massage practitioner, that it also benefits allergic reactions too. Have you found that to be the case in your clients as well?
Absolutely. Anything from skin reactions, like even skin conditions like rosacea, psoriasis, eczema, or skin sensitivity, like people who break out easily, whether it's with acne or if they use the wrong product and have like an insane allergic reaction. Anything that has to do with allergies, so whether it's skin, whether it's seasonal, like I'm from Texas, like cedar allergies are a real problem. And you're more likely to have those allergic reactions when your lymphatic system is already angry. Because just like the cup, anything new that comes in, your body's like, poof. But when we can calm that down, the seasonal allergies disappear. Like I said, the digestive allergies disappear, as well as the skin sensitivity.
The term kind of coming to me is that this is kind of like the energetic version of leaky gut syndrome, like for the physical body. It's like the energetic stuff. And I have to throw this picture up. This is you with it looks like 32 hertz per second osteophonic forks. And I'm just curious, do you use that in the lymphatic drainage system? Because that's one of the things those forks are marketed for, is like running the meridian lines, and the subtle vibration helps to open up the lymphatic system.
I love that you like knew exactly what forks they were and everything like that. It's so funny.
I'm the sound guy,
And so the way that I do it, because I learned it just like everything else, is like so separate, right? Like we have lymph massage and then we have sound healing. And that's not how I operate. I blend everything together. And so I actually created my own protocol. Essentially has 3 levels of training. There's Lymph 101, which is where we're really just going to get in and train the therapist in the lymphatic system. Then I train high-end luxury spas in more of an anti-aging weight loss protocol. And the sweet spot, that's my favorite one to teach, is actually, I call it lymphonics, is my TM name. And it's how we combine the knowledge of lymphatic drainage therapy with the ancient technique of Marma, and apply these techniques with the tuning forks. And that has unlocked such a fun zone to play in, because I had one client, and it's so funny because she's not woo-woo at all. She's like, you can do the forks on me, but I don't want to hear about it. Just like, I don't believe what you're saying. Just do what you're going to do.
And the forks is one of the most scientific things. And I'm curious, Dr. K, since you refer people out for lymphatic, I'm curious if Casey, being a massage therapist, could do that for you. But I'm like, when that comes up on the machine, on the biofeedback machine, that the lymphatic system's out of whack, what tools do you use supplement wise and energy wise to kind of start the process? Because we're dealing with the energy, we still have to take care of the physical body too. What's the energy parts that you do?
Yeah, like Dr. Ravi said, the lymphatic system runs right up against the arteries and veins. So it almost looks like these little spaghetti things. And yeah, they're little like peanut. I don't know how to describe them, Dr. Ravi, like peanuts, little grapes, whatever.
Little sacks, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm all about toxicity. That's like my little niche, because we inhale and intake so much junk. So obviously I'm not trained in the massage, so I do refer out for that, but the biofeedback does We work on the lymph through the frequency there, and I do give some supplements that help the lymphatics to drain. And then, yeah, if it's a case where things are abrupt, then it's like, yeah, I think a lymphatic drainage is beneficial for anybody. And then how good are people really at, doing the dry brushing on their own? We get lazy with things, but yeah, it's the lymphatic system is a trap for bacteria, fungus, anything, toxins, anything that comes through has to pass through the lymphatic system. That's its job, is to clean things out. And when it's not functioning, you can imagine it's trapping things, and it's all over your whole system, just like Hank put up that picture. So you can imagine all that stuff sitting there. So the more we can do to mitigate and get things to flush, help the liver, help all the organs, and help all these toxins move through, the better you're going to feel. So I personally I use the biofeedback, and I have a lymph program on there that sends a frequency. And I also use either lymph 1, 2, or 3 through one of my companies. That's Physica Energetics, that helps. Obviously, when it's ingested, it will go through the lymphatic system and help try to push some of these things out. Yep. So that it's not just this. There's everything else. It's obviously, you have to eat decently. You have to kind of eliminate the things that you're overloading into that cup, like Dr. Ravi mentioned. Like if you're just like using Clorox bleach every day, and then it's like you're in an endless cycle of getting lymphatic drainage. So let's get those things off, get the lymphatic drainage, and then you'll start to get better.
And those are all physical toxins. There's also, in the world of being empaths and negative things, it's also like this energetic thing. And just this try to make the parallel. If we see this picture here, the next picture I'm putting up is of the Meridian system. And just look at how spaghetti-like this isn't like a 3D picture like the other one, but I definitely feel that there's a correlation between this lymphatic system and what's known in like the Eastern traditions as like this Meridian system, which is kind of like your body has veins and arteries and all that. Meridians are like the energy flow pathways. And that is, in my view, is kind of the coming into physicality of the lymph system. I'm kind of extrapolating there. I haven't been told that or anything, but I'm just seeing this parallel of how if you're gunked up energetically, that's going to infect the lymphatic system. And then you have the toxins plus the energy component, and it gets all foobarred, which is up beyond all recognition. It's a military term if you didn't know. So you don't want to get foobarred. You want to take care. I mean, as we go through our conversation today, we're also going to talk about ways we can cleanse those energy fields, because if you take care of the chakras and your points of view about bringing things in, then all you got to do is worry about the toxins. So like you're taking more than half of the problems off the plate, and then you still have to deal with the physical body too. In my tradition of shamanism, we'll say that, you might do the healing and it's fixed out here, but you still got to take care of the body. The body still had the brunt of however many years of neglect that particular wound was having. And so we got to come at it holistically. It's not like a Reiki session, boom, you're fixed. It's like you have to take responsibility and really start to take care of yourself.
I have a quick question though for Dr. Ravi. Like when I've done like way back before I got into, I was always into the energy stuff, but during my residency, I've been on surgeries where they've taken out lymph nodes that were obviously, in cases like breast cancer, and they've taken these things out. How does that play an effect then in your case if somebody has a handful of lymph nodes removed? Does it?
Yes, absolutely. I love that question. And I also, real quick before I answer it, there's a couple things Hank touched on that I would love to elaborate on. We have this idea that the key to like a healthy body is diet and exercise. Together, those pieces only make up 40% of the puzzle. 60% of the puzzle is detoxing. And because our bodies do just carry this stuff. And you're mentioning about imprints, yes, your negative thoughts, your negative belief systems, your traumas, all of the disappointments and heartbreaks you've experienced in your life, imprint on your body. So yes, changing the energy field is one of the most potent things you can do, because then you can stop the ripple effect. But you have to address what the physical body is holding. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck in this just kind of constant ripple without you're I feel the healing, but I'm not seeing the healing. What's going on here? And so it's just a really crucial point to understand. As far as your question, Dr. K, with how it's so crazy to me, especially in plastic surgery, when you medically have to remove a lymph node, I understand that. It's not the end of the world. We literally have hundreds of them. Some are more important than others, but my job as a lymphatic therapist is not just to drain what's stagnant and bring movement to the system, but it's also to retrain. Like, think of a C-section scar that goes horizontal from hip to hip, and the scar tissue is really thick.
Yep.
It's really thick in width and really thick in depth. And that is one of a major roadway system for the lymphatic fluid. And so rather than like force it through the scar tissue, right, because that's not going to work, we just retrain it to have a new pathway, because lymph can move through every kind of cellular wall. And so by giving it a new pathway, now we can adjust around things that have, whether it's a huge surgery scar or whether it's lymph nodes that have been removed. But one of the craziest things that I've seen is I used to work strictly with patients coming out of plastic surgery. So I can't even tell you how many facelifts and breast surgeries and liposuctions that I've worked with. In breast implants and lifts, it is insane how often plastic surgeons, I don't know if they just think it's not important or like they don't realize what's going on, but they're just like yanking out. And like, I'll sit where you can kind of see, but like in the armpit area, here under the collarbones, here in between the sternum, these are like, this is the most critical pathway in the lymphatic system. If this is messed up, nothing else is going to drain appropriately, because this is where everything's going. Everything moves towards the heart. If you look at the lymphatic anatomy of the breast, it looks like a grapefruit when you cut a grapefruit in half and it has all of these pockets. Essentially, the entire breast is just a series of lymph nodes. And so when you're yanking things out in this super critical area, the stagnation, to me, because my eye is trained for that, is so obvious. And so I ask my clients, I'm like, hey, did your doctor say anything about like removing lymph nodes? 99% of the time they're like, no, they didn't say anything about that. So not only are they yanking out these insanely important lymph nodes, they're not telling their clients what's going on. And they show up to me in just complete, utter lymphatic chaos, because now like the whole system is thrown off. And so, yes, it can be a major problem. And yes, we can also retrain the system to work around it. So when you're talking about lymphatic health, like there really is no lost cause.
Yeah. And this question comes from Annie, and it's like right on point with where the conversation is right now. Then, Mark, I will get to your question. But she said, I learned in massotherapy school how important breast massage is and self-care. And she says that this is not emphasized enough as vital, as well as no underwires and constriction on the clothing. And, you know, I'm not a woman, of course, but that seems to be something that it sounds very important, that people should be taking that very seriously, but I don't know if it's really taught as much. Inspection is one thing, but to actually massage or to do self-care to keep the flow going is a whole nother thing.
Absolutely. And it's crazy because the anti-aging benefits you can get from breast massage, like you don't need implants, you don't need a breast reduction, you don't need a lift. You can literally achieve all of these things with the right kind of lymphatic breast massage. A lot of that you can do yourself. You might not get those insane plastic surgery results that you would get with a professional. If you want to see what's possible, head over to my website. I have tons of before and after pictures of clients I've worked with in just as little as 1 to 2 sessions that look, they've either lost up to 18 pounds, they look 25 years younger. I had one woman who we achieved a natural breast reduction to an insane size. Like she was ready, like her back was like in all of this physical pain because of how heavy the breasts were. And by the time we were done with like 5 sessions, they were up like 1/5 of the size, and they're perkier. The skin is youthful and glowing, like for women. And that's like not even like talking about how much emotional stuff women store in that area. The breast energetically is literally nurturing and nourishment. And that's for yourself, that's for others, that's for how you show up in your business. If there's a kink there, that's when self-care really starts to go down the drain. And so it's not just about the physical, but so many women like strive for that. but it's about the emotional release that comes with this and being in touch with your body. Like, our breasts are not just sacs that we ignore unless we have a baby. Like, yes, you have to pay attention to your underwires. Like, please don't wear them. Sports bras are amazing. The right fit of bra is amazing. You know, now they have these ones that the straps like cross in the front and hook in the front. That's amazing for your posture, for your lymphatic system. But it doesn't really matter what article of clothing you're wearing. If it's leaving a dent in your skin, you're harming your lymphatic fluid. You want to look for compression clothes. Like, I don't even wear bras 90% of the time. I wear a compression tank top because that's actually supporting my lymphatic system in all of the ways that I want it to, instead of reversing it. So, like, if you're wearing the wrong underwear, essentially, as a woman or a man, but particularly with bras, you're like, it doesn't matter how much you're doing to support your lymphatic system, because on a daily basis, we wear bras like 8-12 hours a day, sometimes longer. For 12 hours a day, you're literally cutting off the flow.
Right. For everybody's awareness, I know Dr. Ravi has to leave in about like 4 minutes. Is that right? You have like a hard stop, you called it. I've never heard that term before. So if you have questions, we're definitely going to have Dr. Ravi on again. But if you have questions, now's the time to ask him. I did post her link to her website in the comments. If you're listening to this on one of the podcast stations, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, wherever, you can go to eob.center. And I do have her website and our one link as well. Or you could just go to thelymphDoctor.com. That's easy to remember, but it's going to be in all those places, so we'll make it very easy for you to find her. We do have one question that maybe you can speak to before you run off. Mark was asking if there's any breathing techniques. Is there any sort of breathing exercises that could help with that? And then my question was going to be, should men be doing anything along with the lymphatic lines with this area as well? Is it important for men, even though we aren't as, endowed as women? Is it important for us to do any sort of self-care in that area as well?
Love both of these questions. And so first I'll address yours, Hank, because it's on the top of my brain. And so, yes, the breast area is just as critical for men as it is women, because we're talking about the lymphatic anatomy, which is a human thing, right? It's not a woman thing, it's a human thing. And so women just have 90 times more stuff going on in that area because of our hormones, because of having babies and breastfeeding and all of the things that have to do with bras and all of that stuff. But it is just as critical for men. And as funny as it sounds, like, I specifically have a breast health session. I've done it on hundreds of men. And it helps. It helps you lose weight. It helps. And for men, a lot of the weight that gets stored in the abdomen really affects your sex drive. It affects all of your, like things like erectile dysfunction and all of these, prostate cancer. Like, there's all of that can get greatly supported, reduced, and even reversed with the right lymphatic protocol. And remind me, the listeners ask question?
Yeah, the other one was asking about breath. Is there any breathing technique that can help the lymphatic system?
Yes. Okay. So I don't want to say it's less about breath, because we have 5 ways we eliminate, right? Like breath, sweat, the lymphatic fluid, urine, and excrement. And so breath is a key component in really anything you're doing as far as health or energy transformation. But more than that, is the way that our body is. So muscle tension, bad posture, chiropractic misalignment, that's going to trap lymphatic fluid a lot more. And it really does in the thoracic spine, so between the neck and the low back, right through the lung area, and it's on the back side of where the main port is for the lymphatic system. So in through here in our shoulder blades and that bra strap area for women, that's where things really get kinked. And so it's really as easy as like putting your hands like on the back of your ribs here and leaning back in a way that you don't usually. Like, our bodies do this on a daily basis. We rarely open up. And that's one thing that makes yoga so wonderful, is you're using your body, you're moving it and opening it in ways that aren't like the daily norm. And that encourages trapped pockets of lymph to be able to flow, because there's not a physical obstruction anymore. And so if you do yoga, like get your yoga block, get your foam roller, whatever the case may be, and just go all the way from your like C7 in your neck down your spine and allow each vertebrae to open up towards the front. Open your ribs up towards the front. That's also going to support the breath because you're taking off a lot of pressure that's around the diaphragm and all of that trapped lymphatic fluid. So actually the breast health session that I do is called the breast health and rib release, because our ribs and our lymph and all of the organs that are in there get so condensed and crunched in from bad posture and stagnant lymph that it makes our diaphragm feel like it's this big. And so deep breaths are hard, they're uncomfortable, and you constantly just are feeling like you struggle to get oxygen in, which really becomes a problem when you're an active athlete or gym workout person. And so just by opening that up, you can really make it, you can, like a deep breath is 10 times easier. You're able to breathe in and fully expand your lungs without pain or difficulty or struggle or anything like that. And so use like whatever, you have to think about all of the postures you're doing on a daily basis and then open your body up in the opposite way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know you have to go and take care of things, but I hope you will come back on again. Dr. K and I will stay on. We have a few other things to go over energy system wise, and maybe if you have things to contribute to that when we have you on the next time, we can just kind of pick up where we left off and continue to go through the energy systems and how all this really fits together.
I would love that. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. K. I feel like I didn't get to ask you as many questions as I want to. I'm so fascinated by your work. I would love to have the three of us on again so I can pick your brain about all of the things that you know.
Well, it's all about toxicity. It really, we have the basic concept, the same thing. It's the energy and the physical body work together. They have to work together. And so they're not just, you just don't do one and then not the other. So yeah, my toxicity is my niche, so this is up my alley.
Yeah. And everybody, you're going to see a lot more of the three of us. Dr. Ravi has a podcast called The Genius Zone. She recorded an episode for me. I believe Dr. K has been on or is going to be on. We're going to be all on together. So there's going to be a lot more content around with the three of us contributing. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of amazing things coming out of it.
Oh, yes. I just love you both so much, and I can't wait to connect with you further. And thank you, listeners, for understanding that I have to pop off to take care of my kiddo. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to watching the rest of this conversation to see what you guys are sharing.
All right, sounds good. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right. How much fun was that so far?
That's yeah. I mean, I'm in total agreement. It's an organ in itself, the lymph. So.
Yeah. So where the rest of the conversation was going to go, and part of the reason that it just didn't work out timing wise is we had a few technical issues. Zoom and StreamYard don't like each other. And anyway, we're working through that we'll be prepared for next time and start on time. But so you have like the lymphatic system, which is taking care of toxicity and taking care of energy things that are going on that were negative or points of view that were brought in. But where is all that coming from? That's coming from, I look at like the chakra system as the energy distribution system of the body and the being. It's like these discs that spin and it's taking energy up. It's like a kundalini energy going up, the energy coming back down. It's literally this distribution system. And then it feeds out to the meridians, and that is connected to the lymphatic system, which is connected to the organs, which is connected to the physical circulatory system and lungs and all that stuff. So when your chakras are off, then everything is off. And where do the chakras get their information from? And this is the missing piece from my tradition that I was going to share. We have these 5 centers called Nawis, and they're these eyes of energy that open and close, and is how energy comes into or is expressed out of your system. So you're bringing energy in through these different places. And if you're, an empath and you're bringing in all the other people's stuff, and that's going through the circulatory system, you can see how this is now affecting everything so energetically. And that's where, that's kind of the snapshot of the rest of the conversation in one little part. So you could ask questions, and Dr. K, it sounds like you were kind of nodding your head in agreement because we didn't rehearse this. This is the first time she's heard my crazy shaman logic.
No, I mean, it's true. And it's just like when even when she talked about removing the lymph node, if doctors really focused on that and maybe did a lymphatic drainage, maybe those lymph nodes would not have to be removed because they're at that point that they've taken on too much. And then again, if cancer's coming, cancer's really, it's an energetic, it's a trauma that's been stored as a cellular memory. The body can't distribute it all over, so it tries to grab it and kind of localize it somewhere. And then there's toxicity along with that. So you've got the energetic piece, you've got the emotional trauma or whatever it is that happened, and you've probably got some, physical piece, and then those two things, and then it's localized, and and here we are. So you cannot have one thing without the other. They go hand in hand.
And I have this little diagram here. This is like showing where the chakras are. If you're not familiar, because I forget sometimes that we might have brand new people to all this. Chakras are 7 energy centers throughout the body. You can see at the bottom, there's the root chakra, there's the sacral chakra, which is like the place of creativity. And notice to the right of this is a correlation between chakras as well as the systems and organs of the body. So like the root chakra, it goes with the reproductive organs. The sacral chakra goes with the adrenals. Solar plexus goes with the pancreas. The heart chakra goes with the thymus, which is a huge thing that I work with a lot of times, because they say the thymus is the seat of the soul. The thymus is the place where the body and the being really become cohesive and work together. You have the throat chakra, which is the thyroid. You have the third eye chakra, which is the pituitary gland, and the crown chakra, which is the pineal gland. And then I don't have a picture for the Nawis because that is not as known of a system, but the Nawis would be right where at the back end of the root chakra. There's a Nawi connecting to the water, the energy of the water. At the sacral chakra where the navel is, that would be a Nawi connecting to Pachamama, Mother Earth. Where the heart is, that would be for the sun, Inti Taita. Where the throat is, there is one for the moon and the wind coming in together. And then at the third eye, a little bit above where the third eye is, between that and the crown, we would have the connection to Wetakocha, or the creator energy. And those are all the places where we would be bringing energy into or out of our system from the environment that we're in as a physical body. So I'll bring that down now. So we got all that. Fun stuff. Any questions? Because now we just like totally info bombed you.
Yeah, totally. That was a lot of information.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I've got to get all that in with Dr. Ravi on, but now like she had to go. So we'll just like give it all to you. And then I would look forward to having a deeper conversation with all three of us on, since we kind of started the path together. But I still wanted to kind of complete the snapshot of why it's so important and how it really starts with out in the energy field, these things coming in and disseminating down to the physical body, and how we're, being physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually in the world. So
Absolutely. Yeah, even with allergies and things, it's just when there's a trauma and you're eating something. I think we already had this conversation before with your grandma and the banana.
Yep.
But if you're in a traumatic experience and you're eating something during that time, you create an imprint, you create an emotional imprint, and the body inside starts to do stuff when you have a trauma and you're eating a certain thing. So these things are all kind of go back and forth. So it's like the more of these things you can do a little bit of work on each of these things, your body's going to be in a much better state.
No, and Annie was just saying, great guest, can't wait till she's back. And Mark, I know this is kind of a half silly question, but it's relevant too. And I don't know, we might have to wait to get Dr. Ravi to weigh in on this, but when hanging upside down, does that do anything to the lymphatic system if somebody's really stuck? I know that there's certain therapies where inversion actually helps. I don't know if lymphatic drainage is one of them.
Yeah, I know just a bit about it, like the inversion tables, a lot of their goals is that helps everything to kind of drain to the central part where she's talking about. But I don't, lymph is not my super big expertise. I address it, but not to the extent that she does. So.
The bigger question mark is, wouldn't it just be fun to be hanging upside down like a bat?
I tried it. I personally don't love it, but some people have had great relief.
No, I've had one person who swears by it. I had one customer at my hardware store I used to work at that would swear that he would stand on his head every day for I don't know how many minutes. And he said that that's why he didn't lose his hair. And I don't know if that's true. I obviously did not do it. And I should ask Dr. Ravi next time, is there any lymphatic, like if I had been, doing my lymphatic
your
thing,
head.
did that have to do with my lymphatic system being drained? Or is it just my chromosomes or whatnot? Ernie says a quick snapshot, great, or information quick snapshot, great. Yeah, that's like everything condensed in a little pocket, and we can just continue to unpack that, because you really could take a deep dive into each one of the chakras and how the lymphatic and everything just for that one chakra in the organs like affects everything, and go through and do a deep dive. Maybe we'll make a series on that as we can, and just take a deep dive into the correlations of one energy center or two, and how just there it all works, and then give tips and techniques. And Dr. K, we of course have the energy clinic and things where people can come and actually see us virtually or in person. But when someone does have that lymphatic issue, is there any particular energy process that you kind of go to first to start alleviating that energetic gunk, so that when they go for the drainage, it's more productive?
Yeah, I mean, I think just overall, there's not anything I target. I target the outside first, because once that energy is cleared, things in the body can start working better. And I always start with my clients with the energy piece if they are open to that, because when we get some of that cleared out and the parasympathetic system and all that slows down and all the nerves slow down and things are calmer, then the body can function better. And then things like the lymphatic supplements that I use, either 1, 2, or 3, those are based on chronic, acute, or a deep ingrained toxicity. Those can work better because the person's better. So I think just starting with just a basic clearing, there's nothing, I mean, I do have a protocol for lymph specifically, but with our energy clinics, that's not always where I go to first. I just do basic clear ups and get into the process and clearing out the deep wounds that are sitting there creating nonsense.
And as we were just saying, energetically, the chakras are kind of feeding the lymph. So if you're clearing out the chakras and you're doing a balancing there, that's going to help the lymphatic system right off the bat too. Mark was asking, is Dr. Ravi local? She is definitely not. She's 2 hours off.
I wish she was here.
I wish she was too. And if you caught my random stream, I'm asking random questions or answering random questions about random things the other day. That's because I was going to record with her, and I thought we were 1 hour off, but it's 2. And I'm sitting there waiting for it. I'm like, oh, nothing's happening. So let me just do a random live stream. And then it ended up being 2 hours off. So I still did the recording later on that day. But she's a 2 hour time difference. I'm trying to look on her website where she is.
She's in Texas, I think.
She's in Texas. Mm-hmm. And if you do go to her website, there is under DIY, do it yourself, there's a self-care game, Mark, which you probably would enjoy. So there's a thing where you watch a video, you download a free PDF, and then you just go through kind of like an accountability thing, posting your results and all that. So if you want to have a little bit of a takeaway from today from her, check out the website and download that self-care game, and you can have a lot of fun with that. Let's see. Annie was asking, or offering, I should say, manual lymphatic drainage from a massotherapist certified in specific technique. Vader technique used to be the gold standard, and there are others. So,
yeah, there's not a whole lot of people that I know around here. If any listeners here know of people that do really deep, I only have one person right now that I know of, and she's, I don't know how much longer she'll be doing it. I've had it done. You just lay there. It's really easy. It's nothing like a dialysis machine or anything. It's not like that at all. But yeah, we would love to have more people like that around here that can do lymph drainage.
And in terms of self-care, like this is something I do. If you notice the forks that she had, these are 32 cycles per second. And that is one of the variations of the Schumann resonance, but that's going to nerd overload. But when you activate them, it creates this real subtle pulse. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And what they tell you to do is you run that along the meridian system. You run that along the lymph system. And Dr. John Boyu, who's a clinical psychiatrist who developed the forks, they found that promoted lymph drainage. So though I'm not certified, you could certainly get an osteophonic fork. And it's specifically the 32 hertz one. If you go to 128, the vibration is too quick to really have the impact that you're wanting. And it's not that you're putting the stem on there. Like usually with those weighted forks, you're putting the stem on the body so you feel the vibration of bone. This one you activate and you're running it right along as close to the skin as you can get to without touching it. And that vibration is just going right underneath that subtle layer. And that the frequency is what's doing the work to kind of open those things up. So it's a great way that you could kind of experiment on your own if you wanted.
Yeah. And way back, like, right around the time I started learning about the biofeedback, the gal that I do refer to, she has a device, I think sends a frequency as well. So I was really on the verge of getting this device and learning the lymphatic drainage. And I was like, I don't know, I didn't. Maybe I should have back then. Maybe I'll go back to it. But yeah, it's definitely, it helps everything move through. So
yeah, and you might not know this one. Mark was asking, is there, I assume animals have lymphatic systems, so
Yep.
that there must be a lymphatic drainage for that. Is there any animals that don't? That would be a fun question
No.
to ask. No. So, yeah, no,
Well,
this,
I don't know.
so
Maybe
quote the
little ants or
Mandalorian.
something.
Yeah. So when it comes to the lymph system, this is the way. Everybody's got it. So
Yeah.
that's a Mandalorian quote, which is an amazing series. If people have not watched it, it's pretty cool.
I have done a lymph for one of my, way back when I was still doing animal rescue, the gal that does do lymphatic drainage, the device that she uses to help move everything through, we did use that for one of my rescues, and it did work through that. They were very sick with the condition, and it did resolve. So I don't know how to do it, Mark, but yes, it is a possibility. So
Yeah, and I'm sure if people have that, I'm sure Dr. Decker, Debbie Decker, she's a veterinarian. She probably has that because she's a holistic vet. That's
yeah,
amazing.
she'll have resources. She'd be better to answer that than
Yeah,
I.
and so anybody with pets, and that we were looking to nudge her to come on and have like a whole series for animals and things like that. But yeah, and Ernie was just confirming she is in Texas. Thank you for being our little our what's the word I want to use? Our fact checker. But, we don't want any fake news here. Cool. Any question, guys? We're at about the 50-minute mark, so I really want to open up for questions, comments. Has this been helpful? Do you want to see more stuff like this, more guests like this? It's a whole different dynamic when we do have somebody on, because it's like, oh, it's.
And Shannon says she loves Dr. Decker. Yeah,
Yeah,
isn't she awesome? I mean, it's just pets.
Yeah,
love
I've
her.
only got to meet her like 2 or 3 times, and I don't have any pets. I just met her through other situations and whatnot. But she is amazing, absolutely amazing. And I used to be advocating a different veterinarian. I was like, well, no, she's out. This one's in. She's really good, and she's more local to the person I was recommending before. So cool. Thank you for contributing, Shannon. What other things would you guys like to hear about? That's another question. Like, we're talking about energy centers, lymphatic system. Do you want things more about like the different energies or the physical systems of the body correlating to the chakras? There's going to be all kinds of things. I don't even want to know about that, Mark. How to join a will. Yeah, it's like she's our holistic vet and has been helping with our husky in ways that no other has been able to. Incredible.
Yep,
Absolutely.
Yep. She saved 3 of my pets, Shannon, when I was spending thousands at a vet. And the vets right now are very stressed. And this is, again, the situation between seeing a regular doctor and a functional medicine doctor, and somebody that takes the time, like Dr. Ravi and I, that really take an hour with you to listen, to attack and go after those things that need to be handled. I've been on the whole other end of the scope. I have 15 minutes, 10 minutes with somebody, I'm out the door. I mean, that's very difficult. And really to really spend that time. And it's shocking that we learn all this in medical school, yet I'm not sure why it falls by the wayside. We're so taught to just give medications when, yeah, if a doctor really spent time going, toxicity, going through the lymphatics, we know what it does. Why not look there at the deeper level? So yeah, she's that. She is exactly.
Maybe talk
that.
about all this stuff that people could do on themselves, and there'd be a lot less people sick. Wait, sounds funny when you say it out loud, doesn't it?
But then the insurance companies would be out of business, guys. So sorry, but insurance companies are kind of designed to keep you in a loop.
Money is in treatment, not in cures.
It is. That's the line. I have to say, it's the truth. So
yeah, that's why, like, yesterday I had a client and she's like, how often do people come to see you? I'm like, well, most of the time I might be lucky if I see the same client maybe in a year. Like, if they have something major going on, sometimes I'll see a client a few more times, but that's like, unless they really want like a coaching program, it's not something I need to see from the energy perspective. With Dr. K does something very different, but it's like, but if they like the session, come in because you enjoy the session. That's always good too. So anything else, guys? And while I'm thinking about it, so you are aware, 1st and 3rd Monday, you can come out and see us in person. And on the registration now, there is a box and it says, do you want a virtual session or do you want a in-person session? So if you want a Zoom session, we do that. We did our first one the other day. Someone signed up and they could have driven in, but it was snowing and they didn't want to. So it worked out wonderfully. And we have somebody in Missouri and the next one that's already signed up. So it's kind of cool now that we can offer these virtually and really fun. Mark is just saying, I have learned so much from you both. Thank you so much. I must see you soon. Absolutely, Mark.
Yes, where have you
been?
We've been waiting for you.
Now it's virtual. You have no excuse, man. You don't even have to come out. You can Zoom in from your home.
And it works just as good, guys. I know it may not seem that way, but it does. It really does work.
Yeah, with the last client, she ended up laying down, and like I'm not paying attention. And when I finally come back, like she's gone, I'm like, oh no, we did such a good job, but she poofed into enlightenment, and no, but she was just like blissed out and had to lay down. So, and I have a really good microphone for the sound things that it picks up the tuning forks and the bowls and all that really well. So you even from the sound perspective, you're still getting the sympathetic resonance and all that. It's all good stuff. Anything else, guys, or anything going on in your world, Dr. K, that you just want to randomly share?
Well, I'm plugging away, guys. Sorry, I'm in a process of a training for a figure competition, a bodybuilding show. So I'm going to be a little on the low down because it's a second job for me. But it's a great year it's a great year to make changes and to really do those big things and make those transitions that you've been looking to make. So I'm speaking more on an energetic level. That's why I decided to move forth with it this year. Because there's so much energy coming down right now that now's the time to really do what you want to do. Don't hold back.
And if any of you guys want to follow along with me, I'm not doing a crazy fitness thing like that. That's way too crazy for me. But I'm going to be starting a cool cleanse. So, if you want to do the lemonade diet with me, they call it, or the master cleanse, I will be starting that probably in the next couple of days. I knew my body was prepping. Whenever I know I'm going to do one, I switch over to almost an all raw diet, and I do that for like a week. Then I wean myself off of caffeine, and then I start. So I know from where I'm at, I'm about ready to plunge into that for at least 10 days, up to 40. The longest I've ever done was 40 days.
It's a long time. We could talk about intermittent fasting sometime and or time restricted eating. Those are the things in the same ballpark, but intermittent fasting, which is what Hank's going to be doing. Intermittent fasting really, by definition, is going 24 hours or more without eating anything, whereas time restricted eating is more so fasting for like 8, 10, 12 hours.
Yeah, and I will say
increments.
We should definitely do a conversation on this. Just bringing that up. One thing to share with everybody is when you go 40 days without eating, you learn, because your stomach goes to sleep. You don't get hungry anymore. The first 3 days are really rough, and then like this calmness comes over that from in terms of hunger pains of that. And then when you feel hungry, it's not hunger, it's a craving. And you don't really need to eat. You move right through it. But it really is a great exercise to determine when am I having a craving and misidentifying it as hunger, and when am I actually having hunger. And if we stop eating every time we have a craving, that right there would be a huge drop in how much we're consuming every day. So
like Lao Tzu says, when the cup is full, stop pouring. And we have a tendency in the society to just keep eating. But intermittent fasting and or time restricted eating have so many benefits for diabetes, for conditions. It's really, really good for the body if you can manage to do it and get a routine with it. So we can talk about that sometime.
Yep, sounds good. For watching this on the replay, please comment other topics that you might be interested in seeing. And the other things are, if you get value out of these videos, please share. If you're sharing on Facebook, great. If you're sharing on YouTube, great. Definitely subscribe if you feel that it's been useful. That definitely helps us out a lot, because Google feels we're relevant, and then it will serve up the stuff more. So, and then if you don't want to watch us and you'd rather listen to us, about a day delay, all these episodes are available on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music, all that jazz. So you can just go on and you can download the episodes and listen to them at your leisure. It's just about 24-hour delay from when we broadcast live for those to be uploaded. So other than that, I think we're good, right? We got covered it all. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. We look forward to our next conversation. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.